thank you for joining us. And I am joined by two brilliant young leaders, as the Obama Foundation has found out. Ms. Kyra Kapi, the Director of Communications for the Greek Prime Minister, and Qvist Frederiksen, the Executive Director of the Arctic Economic Council. Thank you very much, Mads, for joining us all the way from Norway. A long journey. And I'll start right away with Ms. Kapi, with Kyra. Shall we do Kyra and Mads?
Yes.
Thank you. You've been the Comms Director for the Prime Minister for over 6 years. Which tools do you have to get your point across to the people? And how do you convince people that the policies implemented are meaningful?
So first of all, I would like to thank you, all of you being here today. Good morning. I know it's early, 10 o'clock for Greeks, so thank you for being here. I see some familiar faces, so I'm happy you're all here.
You have a big audience.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thanks, Mads, coming all the way from Norway, just to have a panel with me here in Delphi. I'm sure when you saw like a communication specialist with a no Arctic specialist, what are they going to talk about under the title Leadership and Communication? I really do believe that we had a very, very interesting 6 months with the Obama Foundation. We spent our Wednesdays together talking about how the world has changed and a lot of challenges. So we thought it would be a nice idea to have a panel here with us. And going back to what Greece has faced the last 6 years, the crisis we have been through, I remember the Evros crisis, it was COVID, and it was the Russian and Ukraine war. And I was thinking of how did we manage, what tools did we have, and how did we communicate what was happening. And I believe in times of crisis, then it's when the leader shows his real, oh, I'm so sorry, is the Prime Minister.
The PM?
No, I won't pick up, but please don't tell him.
Don't pick up.
Don't.
Or if you pick up, tell him we are together and we're doing something.
I'm so honestly, I'm so sorry. They have to go to the hospital.
That's one of the best bloopers of the Congress.
Yeah, so. Anyway.
Did you tell him you are out of office?
Yes.
Ah, good.
He knows, but I'm not used to being out of office, so, you know.
Sorry.
He's used to calling when he's going somewhere. Anyway, so, yeah, now what was I saying? Yeah, so when we're in crisis, when we are facing crisis, and when you can see the true colors of a leader. So I really do believe that communication always comes second. Like when the leader has a solid plan, then it's so easy for us to communicate it. And when he hasn't got a plan or he hasn't have actions that he wants to communicate, then it's nothing that really we can do. So I really do remember when it was the Evros crisis, then he had invited von der Leyen and Michel and Sassoli, and he called me and he said, we have 2 days to organize a press conference. They're coming to see what's happening there. And then we just we couldn't really think of what we were doing. There was no communications plan. There was no like tools. What we're going to do? It was this. So for me, in times of crisis, media always follows. You cover, you witness, and then you get all the material you have, and you choose what to communicate. And I remember that day we had a very, very impactful photo. It was all 5 leaders squeezed in an helicopter, watching through a small window the situation, and the Prime Minister was standing and showing them what was really going on, and that was a really, really strong image, and I thought that that's what I want to communicate from this, and that made the news, Europe, the US. And one more example, if I can recall, it was during COVID. That was really, really difficult communication-wise. You were only in the office. We had Zoom and the camera and nothing more. I mean, there was nothing much you can do. So I remember he really wanted to communicate to the people, and he asked, how can I say what I have to the people? You know, we have to explain what's happening. And I said, okay, let's put a camera, we record it, and let's see what happens. And communications-wise, when you have a 10-minute video of a Prime Minister speaking to the people, it's nothing yet we would air in a normal period. It's like nobody would sit for 10 minutes and watch. Yeah. But it became a habit, and it became our weekly updates, and it was his way of communicating. So what I want to make a point and then pass over to Mads, is that for me, you have to see the situation and work with what you have and not create things through communication. You cannot create something that there's not there. You have to see what's going on, then you have to think fast and find the best way to work with what you have.
No, this is a criticism that has been asked upon your government, but I will come back to it later. No, I'm just saying. I will turn to Mads, and I don't think you're an expert in Greek politics, but I wanted to ask about the Arctic, which has been in the forefront of international media attention over the past weeks. How do you view your role as a global ambassador of bringing forward the opportunities of business development in the region?
So there's actually some similarities and some things that we can learn. So the Arctic region has been ignored for many, many years. But now we are standing in a crisis, similar to maybe where Greece was 10, 15 years ago, a communication crisis. So one is the climate change. So global warming happens at 3 times the global average in the Arctic, much faster than anywhere else, but also that suddenly world leaders are fighting over new territory. And you have to communicate in a time of crisis. We didn't expect the US government to offer to buy Greenland or even Canada, which is also a part of the Arctic. Russia is 50% of the Arctic as well. So the Arctic is everywhere. And it's
a battleground.
It's a battleground. It's getting increasingly. And Mike Tyson, he was once asked before a match, he was asked, what's your plan for this game? And he says, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face the first time. And this is the same with communication. Like we had a plan about Greenland and a plan about the Arctic, and then we get punched in the face and you need to stand up and you need to communicate. So how do you do this? And I think we can be inspired from Greece, because right now there's a lot more stability in Greece than there was 10, 15 years ago. And a part of this is doing actions, but also communicating to the people why we are doing it. So right now there's a lot of uncertainty in the Arctic region, climate change and geopolitics. This creates uncertainty. And uncertainty, I represent businesses from 10 different countries, and companies, they don't like uncertainty. That's poison. So the main role for me is to try to translate this uncertainty into real facts. And how do you do this then? What we are doing in our organization, most of you probably never heard about the Arctic, but there's 4 million people living there. So it's quite a small place when it comes to people, but a very big area. And our way of communicating here is through trust. So business happens at the speed of trust. So you need to make sure that everything you do in the communication is trustworthy. And this you can do in small communities. So yes, there are differences, but there are also similarities.
But you work locally.
We work locally. Locally, yes, we work locally, but in a region the size of the African continent. So
it's a bit disproportionate.
It's a bit disproportionate with 4 million people on the size of the African continent. The Arctic Ocean is 6 times bigger than the Mediterranean Sea. So scale is big, but communities are small. So again, communication here is based on trust.
Yeah, this is a very good punchline for me to turn back to Kyra and ask, how do you define the audience each time? How do you select which message needs to be put across the entire country, a bigger audience, or it should be more targeted?
I'm a very, very big believer of targeted audience. I think that we've worked our targeted audience a lot the last 6 years, and that's something I really insisted, and I'm very happy that we did a lot of targeted interviews. I think the age of traditional media, traditional media is, we all do traditional media. We cannot not do traditional media, and it's very
important. Don't be gentle. It's dying, or it's dying in the form it was. It's dying in the form it was.
Yeah, but it's not as powerful. There are other more powerful things from time to time, but traditional media is like a pillar, it's a stable pillar there. You do it because you cannot do it, and it is an added value to do it. I would never recommend to a leader not to do traditional media, but doing only traditional media is not enough. You have to everybody, we have busy lives. We have our families, our work. We don't watch TV. Even when we're watching TV, we're on our phone. We're not 100% concentrated somewhere. So I do believe that we, as leaders or the leaders we work for, need to find the audience. We need to when we have a specific topic to communicate, we have to find the targeted audience and take the leader there. It's also humble for the leader to make an effort and go to smaller mediums or interviewers, and it was like some times ago where the leader could not be in a podcast or do TikTok or do unconventional things. And if we see how Trump won the elections and what he did communications-wise, then we see that, yes, he did not do traditional media, to be honest. He wasn't traditional media, but he did not choose traditional media. But he did only unconventional things. And I do not believe, because many leaders, many politicians will come to me and ask, what should I do? And I take a risk. I mean, go talk to other people. And I really also do believe that we are that you should find other people to talk about you as well. It's not only the leader who has talked about himself, but to find people to talk about what you're doing.
I will come back to this because you mentioned the TikTok example, and I want to further elaborate on this. But I want to turn to Mads and ask about the green transition, which is an imminent threat for the Arctic region. But following the election of Donald Trump in the US and the entire discussion here in Europe, we see a public backlash against green transition and against this green agenda that's been put forward by the European Commission in the past years. And I'm asking, how do you turn public perception around? How do you convince them again that this is a threat and shit is real?
Yeah, no, and that's a massive challenge. And I want to give a very quick example. So in the Arctic, in northern Norway, northern Sweden, there's a lot of resistance against wind turbines. And this resistance comes from the indigenous peoples. So 10% of the people in the Arctic are indigenous, and they're indigenous Norwegian, the Samis, and they're reindeer herders. And they're against wind turbines. And when they're protesting, they're wearing very colorful clothes, they sit outside the parliament and they do these protests, and the traditional mainstream media will cover these protests. And it's a very strong image. It's a very strong image of traditional reindeer herders sitting in their traditional clothes outside the parliament.
While it's folklore.
It is. So how do you counter this? Because we do need a green transition. And we for many years, we were talking about climate change, and people cannot relate to this, what happens in the next 20, 30, 40 years. And we are trying now to say, so there's this idea about NIMBYism, not in my backyard. And we are trying to say, why in my backyard? Why is it that I should have a mine, for example, in my backyard? Why is it that I should have wind turbines? And we try to say, but if it will create jobs for you, this will create extra values, because that's what people want. People want cheap energy, they want cheaper food, and they want, jobs. And if the green transition can provide this, they will do it. Just one very brief example. No one bought electric vehicles when they were ugly and slow. Then Elon Musk invents a very good-looking, very, very fast, very cheap electric vehicles, and suddenly everyone was buying Teslas. They didn't do this because of climate change. They did this because, it looked good. So here there's also a communication aspect combined with actually makes a difference.
That's a very interesting example. I will turn back to Kyra and ask about the TikTok example, because you turned the Greek Prime Minister into a TikTok star before the 2023 election. It was a major success in terms of communications and talking to an audience that is not following politics every day and is not following traditional media every day. Apparently, this boosted his profile, but at some point, it stopped abruptly. So I want to come back and ask, where is the red line between conveying the message through a non-traditional channel and getting cringe?
Yeah, well, good things don't last forever, so we did that when it was the right time, and we were struggling a lot because we knew what we had to communicate. We knew how the Prime Minister was, and we really wanted to show to the people how he's at work, like his true personality. And we had for a long time experimented with a lot of things, and still we could not show to the people what it was. So then a very, very good TikTok agency came along, and they proposed something that we worked on together, and there was like a magical combination of him being himself the TikTok agency bringing like this nice editing and all these quirky things that they knew how
fresh
to...
perspective.
Yes, and us like really bringing on the policies, because it wasn't... If you see these videos, it's not only fun. I mean, it could have a fun aspect, but we really wanted to bring on a message. So yeah, I wish I knew what to do next. It's something that it's really on my mind. Like, if we had elections now, what would you do? What's the new TikTok big success? And I really don't have the answer. I wish I had it. I don't know if I would share it, but I don't have it. So yeah, it was, for me, the fine line between being cringe and being cool is something that you feel, like if you see it, and it feels, I mean, I don't know, I think it's
if
internal.
it feels like yourself.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw it, I knew it was going to be a success. I mean, I knew it, we didn't intend it to be viral, but when I saw the end result, I was like, yeah, that's a success. So, I mean, I don't know, you kind of feel it. I mean, if you feel like, it's a feeling. I don't know if you can teach it. Maybe that's why it's called, like, I don't want to be untalented.
Do you work by the instinct?
Yes, a lot. And I really want to, I mean, some things have happened that I was not planning to, like, I'm sorry, maybe you don't remember, you don't know. When it was like 3 years ago, we were at Kypseli, and then he greeted...
A neighborhood in Athens.
Yeah. A neighborhood in Athens, and we were not campaigning, we were like going to I don't remember where. So there was a young woman with a stroller. We've been everywhere, Giorgos. It's been like 10 years, you know. I don't really remember.
I remember.
But I remember what happened there. So there was a mother with a stroller with her baby, and then the Prime Minister went to her and greeted her, and she had no idea who... She saw him, like, oh my God, how handsome. Not handsome. And
sorry for all the
I didn't listen to it at that time. And then we were at the office and we were editing the footage. And I was working in an open space environment and I didn't hear it.
Yeah.
So we sent it to the media and then I saw it in the news.
Man, someone played it.
You played it.
I wasn't working. No. It wasn't me.
It
wasn't me. It wasn't me.
It's the medium you're working.
If it were me, I would have started the video with it.
So when I saw it, I was like in shock. I was like, where did they find this? And then I called the journalist, like, oh my God, where was this? I said, you sent it. I was like, I sent it. And then I called the Prime Minister and said, I have to tell you something. I'm sorry. If I had seen it, I would have never sent it. I mean, it was borderline for me. I would never have sent it. But it became a success and a viral. So, yes, you have an instinct. I wouldn't have sent it, but since it was there, it was a big success. But with TikTok, it was another thing. I mean, it was really magical combination of him having real fun on campaigning. Also, it was a format that you cannot do every day. I mean, we were in a campaigning mode, and a lot of fun things happen when you campaign.
Sure,
so,
and you have to put it out. It's always the backstage of a campaign is very interesting for both journalists and the audience. I'm coming to an end, but I had 3 minutes less. I'm coming to an end. A last question for Mads. Sorry for all the Greek.
Very quick.
No, sorry for all the Greek. I was reading an interview of yours regarding the potential role of the bigger role of Greek shipping in the Arctic region. Can you convince us how to work together with the Arctic?
So in my organization, we have companies as members, and Union of Greek Ship Owners has been a members for almost a decade now. And just another example, in December, 21st of December, the Prime Minister actually went to the Arctic to meet Santa Claus and also meet a few presidents and prime ministers from around Europe. So we already know there's a connection between Greece and the Arctic. What Greece has that is quite unique is the experience with the oceans and the seafarers and shipping. And I really see a massive potential for Greece because I don't know how much you followed Donald Trump's talks on the Arctic, but a lot of it is around shipping. And he wants icebreakers, he wants ships, and he wants them now. And Greece can play a big role here. Having not only the skilled workforce, but also having an industry that needs to build it. So for me, there's a lot of links here. So now we just need some TikToks about shipping too.
Let's get this started. Thank you very much. It was a very energizing talk. Thank you all for watching.